Blue has been busted in Bali on serious charges and then was eventually arrested, sentenced, and we now have her deportation. We're going to go over the full case, all the facts today on the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is the Fast Facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So let's get right into it. For those that don't know Bonnie Blue, you're probably in luck. She is an adult actress. I think we all know what that means. She was very famous for, you can just read right here, 1,000 Men and Me, and just, walk through that. She also did the 100 Men in a Day challenge, which, once again, you look at the trauma of these women, it absolutely is horrible. They had to go through that. And, you see the real issues with that. Obviously, there's mental health issues with both of these women. So her background here, her name is Tia Billinger. She's a British adult content creator. In December 2025, Bonnie was arrested for filming content during Schoolies Week in Bali, which is an Australian high school graduation event. And during that event, police raided her rented studio and detained Blue along with a group of British and Australian men after public complaints about filming adult content, which is illegal in Indonesia. Authorities seized cameras, contraceptives, and a vehicle which was named the Bonnie Blue B-Bus. We'll leave it at that. I think you guys can get the drift there. And remember, there was also other paraphernalia. But remember, once again, this is illegal in Indonesia. So the real key here is, look, this is not a country where this was something that was legal or she could do this, etc. Obviously, you can bring up the morality of doing this. And I think that, in general, this online pornography is generally a blight, right? But that said, she wasn't doing this somewhere where it was permissible or legal. So, of course, she was initially charged on pornography charges, which carry up sentence up to 15 years. Now, many people were screaming and yelling, and all the captions, she's going to get 15, she's going to get 15. I waited on this intentionally because I knew she wasn't going to get 15. And the outcome, which I thought was most likely, is the one that came out. Well, let's get into it right now. So police, when they actually investigated her, found no evidence of actual pornographic acts or explicit material filmed in Bali. But they determined that Blue and her team misused her tourist visa, which, once again, it's a benefit to the countries if you're just doing regular streaming or whatever else. You're not bothering anybody. You're saying positive things. You're giving your honest opinion, let's say, on food or restaurants, bars, cultural events. That's a net positive to countries, and I think countries are happy to let people in to do that sort of content. But when you're coming in to break the law specifically, you come in with the intent to break the law. Something we're saying, I am going to break the law in this country. That's not okay. That's not permissible. And countries have the right to remove you and to blacklist you, all that sort of stuff. Ultimately, she was convicted of a very minor traffic offense for using an open back pickup to transport people instead of goods. So very, very minor offense. They give her a fine of 2,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is like $12 USD. And they deported her and banned her from re-entering the country for 10 years. So, not a long ban. It is a long ban. But not a severe fine. The fine itself is actually very, very minor. I was just in Bali. I mean, there's 2,000 Indonesian rupiah. I ate lunch that was more expensive than that. So what do I think about that? What's my judgment when I'm passing judgment here? Bonnie Blue, aka Tia Billinger, was appropriately sentenced. I believe the choice ultimately rests with Indonesia. The country is the one that decides. Once again, I'm giving my 2 cents, but that doesn't mean that it overrides the country. The country is making the decision, and people from Indonesians are making the decision on what's best for Indonesia. But I do think this will deter future adult streamers. Right now, I don't think it's enough to deter nuisance streamers of all sorts. And I do view Bonnie Blue as equivalent to Johnny Somali, Vitaly, Sam Pepper, and all their nuisance streamers. So I think all those guys are all kind of the same ilk. So I see that as not deterring necessarily the others, although I see it as equivalent, right? It's all a problem. The future legislation in all countries, I think, should fine streamers for the amount of profit they made from their illicit activities. I think that is, you need to disgorge those profits of what they did that was illegal. Right now, if they're doing something legal or they're streaming on positive stuff or stuff that, doesn't really hurt anybody, that's fine. But if they're breaking the law specifically, they're doing something specifically, then you have to disgorge those profits, right? Also, you have to deport them and have a long-term ban. So 5 to 10 years or permanent blacklisting. I think that should be standard if you are breaking the law intentionally. Once again, an unintentional breaking the law, something you didn't know, but she knew this. She came in with that intention. And I think that's the biggest problem here is when you come into a country, particularly a country like Indonesia, which you should know has strict laws, it has strict laws on many things. You don't want to go in there breaking the law from the get-go. And that's what Bonnie Blue did. So that's my kind of take on that. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.